Alright guys, we are jumping into another wave of Marvel Legends. We're taking a look at a figure from the Sauron wave with Lady Deadpool. And this is one that I really don't know a great deal about. I kind of know a bit about her just based on some research that I've done, so I'm not too crazy about this particular figure and tearing into this one, but I am curious to see what she offers. She of course comes in our standard Marvel Legends style box. We've got her in the package, in the window with Deadpool. We've got the Deadpool logo on the bottom, and then the back has got product shots. We've got our Build-A-Figure and our full lineup down there. So let's pull Wanda out and take a look. Alright guys, here she is. Lady Deadpool, Wanda Wilson, out of the packaging. And like I said, I really don't know a great deal about this particular figure, this character. You know, I only know about these two based on what I've done a little research on, because it's kind of past my prime in terms of comic book reading. So this is a member of the Deadpool Corps. This is kind of an alternate reality Deadpool, Wanda Wilson, so female Deadpool basically. And then Deadpool here is a zombified Deadpool, and he is obviously an accessory. But there is some interesting things going on here. We are definitely reaching an oversaturation on Deadpool stuff, and I know I am beyond tired of Deadpool at this point, but we need that Build-A-Figure, right? So we've got this Deadpool and a few others to check out in this wave, and she does have some interesting things going on, but I definitely do have some gripes going on with this figure. So we're going to move this pretty cool guy out of the way. I actually do like this thing. We're going to move him out of the way, and we're going to talk about her articulation first, and then we'll get into all the details. Now, when it comes to moving her around, she is pretty standard Marvel Legends type stuff, especially for a female. We've got another body that doesn't have bicep swivels for some reason. I kind of wish they would have used that Moonstone body here. I feel like this particular cut right there at the bicep where she has the red to black would have been a perfect transition for that. But we'll get to that in a second. So head can swivel, she can go down. My joints are still pretty stiff. She can go up, so full wide range of motion there. Nothing really getting in the way. The hair does not get in the way. It's not articulated. It's a gummy kind of plastic. We'll talk about that shortly. Arms can go out, rotate all the way around. Like I said, no bicep swivel, but I just think that would have been the perfect spot for that. We have got single jointed elbow, and it's, you know, basically 90 degrees, basically. And then we've got rotation within that joint. We have got hinge and rotation for the wrists. Now, she has two swords. I would have liked to have seen her have the vertical hinge rather than a horizontal. That would be much more helpful when it comes to actually positioning her. Diaphragm joint, we can go backwards. Forwards only slightly. That's actually pretty negative thing there. Nothing really side to side. Just a little bit of bobble. And then, of course, some rotation as well. Again, you can hear that stiffness going on. So we can kick forward, we can kick backwards slightly. Thigh cut, there is of course nothing at that waist there. Double jointed knees, pretty decent. And then we've got rocker and hinge at the ankle. So decent enough for a female. I mean, it's pretty standard female Marvel Legends stuff. You know, you're not really missing anything here. But again, you're not getting anything extra. I wish, though, if there was one thing that was changed, is that she had the bicep swivel. I think that would have been much needed for her, and she has that transition on the paint scheme there. It seems like the perfect place to have stashed that joint. Now, in terms of her overall look and feel, you know, talking about paint and sculpt, obviously, just like with articulation, she is rather basic. We're on a basic body, so you're not going to get anything too crazy in terms of what she actually looks like. I think she, for the most part, looks like her comic counterpart, but I do definitely have some issues with this figure. I did mention this mess of hair up here, and I do think that this might be a point of failure for this figure, because I think that we might see some figures down the line that don't have this anymore, or that it rips off. Because all it is connected to the head on this little tiny piece right here on the back. It's very floppy, and this is honestly rather heavy for such a small point of failure there. So I'm kind of concerned about that. It's okay in terms of how it looks. It's all going to come down to angle and how you've got her posed, because otherwise it's going to look like it's just defying the laws of physics. And I know it's a Deadpool figure, but that doesn't always fly. She is a very dirty blonde in terms of her hair color. There might be a little too much of a wash going on in there, but the sculpt is okay. I'm just not sure that it's the greatest feature, but it is accurate to the comics. She does have a kind of Deadpool expression going on with her face, one eye larger than the other. Head is painted well. We've got the black on the chest, black on the arms, black on the midriff, down through the thighs, and then on the ankles. And for the most part, that black feature is okay. I do have some gripes with the arm here on the left. This is just not clean at all. It's very smudgy is the way to say it. It's just not clean. A lot of these lines are not perfect. I know they're not going to be, but this one is in particular kind of awkward to look at. It draws my attention because it's just poorly done. We do have the silver and black belt buckle, and I'm not sure if this is an error or not, but I know when a lot of times when I check in, reference materials for this particular figure, usually this is a Deadpool logo, like the eyes type logo, the current modern Deadpool look, and that's not this. I don't know if it's an error or not. I don't really care one way or the other, but it's something to point out. We do have pouches on her thighs here. They are free floating, but they kind of stick onto there just fine. We do have the free floating belt, and it's sculpted well enough. She's tons of pouches. And we do have the harness that sits over top of her. One thing that I just assumed she was going to have, but she doesn't, she has no way to store her swords. And, she only has 2 swords in terms of accessories, so it's okay. It's not a huge deal. But I was really expecting her to have something on the back here that would allow me to slip those swords in, and she doesn't. And that's just kind of odd. It seems like she needs weapon storage. She's a Deadpool figure. Maybe she doesn't have that. Again, I don't know. But from a toy perspective, it would have been really, really nice to have. So, yeah, she's only kind of basic in that regards. But there is one big glaring thing wrong with this figure, and you may or may not have noticed it. It's kind of hard for me to see at times, but the red on her costume is just plain not the same throughout the figure. The red on the head and the red on the legs is very similar. The thighs, the midriff, the arms is all a very muted color compared to the rest. This is very vibrant. This is vibrant. This is just not the same. It's almost like they molded it in 2 different plastics. The easiest way to tell is by looking at the thighs at the cut. They're just not the same color of red. And that's usually, as far as I'm concerned, a very inexcusable error because, I mean, come on, you molded the rest of the figure this way. You definitely could have molded this in the same color. So something went wrong there. Maybe it's my figure. I seriously doubt that. That'd be a really odd issue to have on just a one-off thing. But there's definitely an issue going on there. So yeah, she's a basic figure, and she definitely has a handful of problems in that regard. She does, of course, like I've already mentioned, have a couple accessories, and I've already brought one back in. But we're going to talk about these swords real quick. These are pretty standard stuff from Marvel Legends. We've seen these before. We've got the sculpted hilts with the wraps on them, which are pretty good. The issue with these that I have, outside of the fact that they don't have a place to be stored, is that her hands really aren't gripping enough to hold on to them very well. They just want to kind of slide right through. I have to keep squeezing her hands. I might have to heat her up and try to reset her a bit. But that's always just a bummer for me. The swords are fine, though, in terms of how they look. They are, as far as I'm aware, quite accurate to the character, so that works. I'm glad to have them. I'm always glad to get more swords in the line. So those are fine. I just have a problem with her holding them. You can see they kind of bobble around in there. But, of course, there is another definitely odd accessory that they decided to throw in with this set, and that would be Deadpool. Now, I don't know a great deal about this guy, just like I don't know a great deal about Wanda Wilson, but I do know that this is, kind of a zombified Deadpool. He is just the head left. He does have kind of the dunce cap kind of thing going on, which I think is really funny. I dig the idea behind this. I've said I'm kind of Deadpooled out, but this is funny and it's a cool inclusion. And honestly, it's kind of something to beef up this package here. And thankfully, he does have a flight stand because obviously he flies around on this thing, and it pegs into the small hole that's inside the head there. But you could use it as a regular head if you wanted as well. Pop it on an extra Deadpool figure if you got. Pop it on anything. All things considered, this might be the best thing about this figure, just because this thing is actually really well sculpted. It's very gnarly. The teeth are just nasty, and we've got that disgusting zombified face. Everything is cleanly painted here. So for all my issues with Lady Deadpool, this little guy is actually pretty solid. And of course, the propeller spins, and that's just great. It's not exactly the fastest thing, and it's not going to spin crazy fast or anything, but the fact that it does move is a winner in my book. So yeah, overall, this is an interesting package, to say the least. I do like the Deadpool inclusion. I think that's really nice. It's just something different, something fun. Deadpool fanatics are definitely going to like this one just because of that, I'm sure. Lady Deadpool is obviously a more current iteration of the various Deadpools out there, and she is probably going to be very sought after for people who care about this character. I don't care about this character, and this figure is rather loaded with issues as far as I'm concerned. It's just not that great. She's basic, she's got paint issues, I think she's got sculpt issues, and then that color mismatch is just, a killer problem for me. So this is definitely not the greatest inclusion in this wave as far as I'm concerned, and my Deadpool fatigue may be worse than yours, but if you're a fan, obviously you're probably going to want to get her. But that said, I do think she has quite a few issues, and the real winner in this package is Deadpool. So that's going to do it for this look at the Lady Deadpool figure from Hasbro's Marvel Legends. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.